Begin the Quran Daf Mesechtes Bava Kama Daf Kuf Zayin. We begin on the bottom of Kavav Mabeis, 3 lines up in the bottom of the Yamid, where the Gemara continues with another teaching from Chibra Abba Amar B'Yechanan, continuing on this theme of Hatoyin Tainas Ganav. We're discussing here in this parak of a Gezel Eitzim regarding the liability of someone who steals, and one of those is the halach of kefil. Now, kefil is also not only for the one who actually steals, but even the one who makes a claim that the deposit was stolen from him, which would have exempted him. That is also a liability of kefil. And the Gemara continues to qualify that halacha of toyin tan ganav of his liability. What are the criteria for that liability? Shiz corresponds to by Kazakh and Chesko turn to him and Daf Yomi during today's Daf should be a schutz v'chinim and they saw night strong throughout the entire world. So we're discussing today's Daf are toyin tan ganav b'bekadna. Again, someone is watching a deposit with someone else, and he's a shemer chinim. He claims it was stolen, which would have exempted him. Halach is misham tashlim kefil when they find that he really has it himself and he stole it, so to speak. He's chayav kefil. Now, there's machlekes. Rabbi Yechanan says he's not chayav ad sheyichber b'miktzas v'yed b'miktzas. We call that generally moed b'miktzas. Until he denies part of it and he admits to part of it. Because if he's actually kaifer akol, if he denies the whole thing, and then we find that he really did have it potter, which Rabbi Yosef says no, kaifer akol is chayav. Even if he denies the whole thing and he says that it was stolen, he's going to be chayav. They both agree, however, regarding a milva, regarding a loan, which is well known that if you admit to part of the claim is when you are liable for an oath. If you deny the whole thing, then part of mishvua you're going to be exempt from a shvua. Machlekes regarding toyin tanas ganav, also regarding qualifying this halacha when the shomer claims it was stolen from him. Rabbi Yosef says he's not chayav sheishel bayad. Only if he went and he touched the item and he used it for his own personal utility, which he wasn't supposed to, only then will it be chayiv for claiming it was stolen from him. Rav Shesha says, no, to the contrary. Actually, once he actually touches it, now he's actually not going to have any more the halacha of toyin tan ganav, as the Gemara will explain. And also some of the other concepts in today's daf, shalosh shvuos mashpin, they say that when it comes to the shomer and the owner is suspecting him, there's 3 oaths that they make him take. Shvuos lebeshataba, swear that you weren't negligent regarding it, because Shemachin is chayiv for B'shia. Shvuah shelo shlachta b'yad, he has to swear that I didn't touch it, I didn't utilize it for my own personal usage. And Shvuah she'ein b'shusei, and he has to swear that I don't have it anymore, and therefore that's why he's exempt from liability. So we begin the current daf on the bottom of Kavav Mabeis, 3 lines over the bottom of the Yamid. It says toyin tanas ganav b'bekadna. So again, someone is a shomer, he's watching something for someone else, and the guy comes back after his trip to Eretz Yisrael, comes like, hey, you're watching my bike for me? Could you give me back my bike? And he says, I'm sorry, it was stolen on Tuesday night. Ein chayiv, he's not liable for kefil, for being caught with the item that he really still has. He has to deny part of it and admit to part of it. My time, what's the reason? Why does he have to say, oh, it's only part that was stolen, part is still here? Because the pasuk says in Shemais, it says, ki huzem, says, when it comes for any negligence, says the pasuk, on every lost object, that he's going to say that this is it, which that's moed b'miktzas, which is saying that, oh, this is it, but other things not, which this is in the parsha of toyin tanas ganav, where a guy claims that it was stolen from him, and that's why the pasuk says that, okay, so he comes out to the judges, you have a drash name, and therefore you see that if this in the parsha of toyin tanas ganav, that toyin tanas ganav is qualified with ki huzeh. It has to be where the guy is saying, as Rashi says, al Torah and Shemais, and last week's parsha, that ki huzeh comes to teach you that you're not chayiv b'shvuah only if he admitted to part of it to say, well, this and this are what I'm chayiv to you. The rest was stolen from me. That's ki huzeh. So, and that's in the context of toyin tanas ganav. Therefore, it would only be what haydah b'miktzas. It says the Gemara, plead Rabbi Bar Yosef, but this disagrees with Rabbi Bar Yosef, because the Rabbi Bar Yosef, he says, as a continued top of Kav Zayin and Aleph, that Eidav Parshia is Kasav Kan. And that's what this whole big thesis over here is discussing regarding what Rashi tells us, that this pasuk is from a different parsha that got mixed in over here, which it does not belong over here. So although you write, Rabbi Yechanan, that ki huzeh implies that he's moed b'miktzas, that, oh, it's only this but not something else, it actually does not qualify toyin tanas ganav. Because v'chi ksiv ki huzeh, you know where this pasuk really belongs? Am milvahu d'chsiv. It's really going on the parasha of Im Kesav Talves Ami. That's where it's going. Because regarding this parasha of Pikadon, of the deposit, where the Shomer Chinim saying, hey, it was stolen from me, you're actually chayiv even without being moed b'miktzas. Now, Maishno Milva, well, why is a loan different that you're uprooting a pasuk from its place? And you tell me it doesn't belong over here by Pikadon. You tell me it belongs in a different parasha. With Milva, why would you even say such a thing? Oh, so that's Kedei Rabbah, which this Taisa says, we explained this many times in Shas, this concept. What does Rabbah say? Dama Rabbah says, why does the Torah tell us that Moed b'miktzas atayim yeshava? When someone admits to part of the claim, he has to swear what he's saying is truthful. Why? I'll tell you why. Chazaka, there's a presumption that inodem meiz panav b'fnei bal chayva. A person would not be so brazen to in front of his creditor who did him a favor, and therefore, where he totally denies the claim, is exempt from swearing. Because if the truth wasn't with him, he would not have denied the claim of a guy who did him such a favor. Now, this guy who admitted to part of the claim, he really wanted to deny the whole claim. So why didn't he deny? I'll tell you why. For the concept I just said a second ago. Because a guy can't be so brazen and say, no, I don't know you anything. How could you? So the guy can't. And therefore, he's hemming and hawing. He'll admit to part, but deny part of it. Now, at the same time, says the Gemara, says Rabbah, the truth is, because a person does not have such brazenness, he really wants to admit to the whole thing. Now, why is he denying some of it? Savar, he thinks, and this is also very important why he's allowed to swear. Why don't we suspect if he's lying regarding the claim? Why wouldn't he lie regarding the oath? It's not true. He doesn't really want to lie. Savar, he thinks, if I'm going to admit to all of it, which is true, he wanted to admit, Tavali Bekule. He's going to say, no. He's going to petition. He's going to say, pay me the whole thing right now. Now, I don't have the money right now. Let me at least, pause right now and get away from him. When I'll get the money, I'll pay it up. So that's where the Torah imposed an oath on him, so that he should admit to the whole thing. Because there's a flag over here telling us that the guy really does owe it, and he really would admit he just doesn't have the money. But we know how it is. If you get off the hook now, you'll stay off the hook forever. So the Torah is imposing the oath to have you swear. Now, that's the halacha moed b'miktzas. So, when could you say such a thing? By a loan, as we just described. But regarding a deposit where there's no favor that was done to the shomer, he's watching your stuff for free. He would be brazen, and therefore, even when he's koifer hakol, when he denies the whole thing, even over there, the Torah imposed an oath. In other words, by a loan, if the borrower is denying the whole thing, logic tells us that he's telling the truth. We're not going to impose an oath, because who would have the brazenness to deny the whole thing? A guy wouldn't have. We wouldn't suspect such a person. Therefore, he doesn't have to swear. When he's moed b'miktzas, is okay. Now this tells us, really, why is he not denying the whole thing? Because he really does owe it. Why is he not admitting to the whole thing? Because he doesn't have the money right now, so he's going to try to get away for now. No, we want him to swear to that effect so that he admits to it. He'll have to deal with whatever the collateral is. But that's the reason why the halacha moed b'miktzas was said on a milva. On the other hand, why wouldn't he deny? You didn't do me any favors. And therefore, he would deny the whole thing, and therefore, even over there, the Torah was Machai B'Shur. So that explains why Rabbi Bar Yosef is telling us that this pasuk of Moed b'miktzas of Kiyuzeh doesn't belong over here in Tain Tanzgam. It belongs elsewhere. Says Taisus discusses, says, what do you mean? It's here. It also does qualify over here. But upon him, that's Machlekes Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Bar Yosef regarding Kiyuzeh. Is that qualifying Tain Tanzganav? And that yes, Tain Tanzganav you would only be chayiv if you're Moed b'miktzas, or no, this pasuk does not belong over here. It does not belong by a pekadon by a shomer, it belongs only by a milva, and that's where you say Moed Miktis. But you will be chayiv koifer hakol by a pekadon. That's one difference. Similar, another qualification, Tani Bava Kama. He says, Abba Shomer, the four guardians, as we know them, custodians of the four types of Shomer, as you continue to Tamid Beis, Shichin Kfida b'miktis by Daba miktis. Meaning he says, like Rabbi Yechanan, that you need to deny some of the claim and admit to some of the claim before he is obligated in the oath. And if he swears without denying an admission, so then the oath of the Shemechinim is inconsequential, and he would not be chayav kefil, which, as Rashi points out, Rabbi Chama disagrees with Rabbi Bar Yosef. It's like the way Rabbi Yechanan said it, that you need to have a koifer b'miktis and a dab b'miktis. And what are these four shemim? There's Shemechinam, the unpaid custodian, the shoyel, the borrower, the yisachar, the paid custodian, the seicher, and the renter. So Amar Rabbi says, "My tam Rabbi Chama." What's the reason Rabbi Chama that he tells us this halacha by the Daled Shomrim, which he's saying similar to Rabbi Yechanan, but not the same exact thing. Rabbi Yechanan was saying regarding Toin Tanis Ganav, he's saying that that the oath has to be after a claim of whatever it is, partially admitting and partially denying it, and if not, then that would not obligate him, like what Rabbi Yechanan said regarding the liability of, let's say, kefil, which was the Toin Tanis Ganav. But he's saying in general it has to have partial admission and partial denial. So what's the reason? So the Gemara explains. So Shemechin behedi, that was like Rabbi Yechanan already said, that it says in the first parsha in Parsha Mishpat, last week's parsha, when it talks about the Dal Shomrim, so it was first speaking about a Shemechin. It says Ki Wazeh, which that was the pasuk Rabbi Yechanan brought, that we say the halacha Moed Miktis of Toin Tanis Ganav has to have partial admission, partial denial. Shemesachar, so that's only by Shemechin. With unpaid custodian, how do you know the other three also have the same halacha? Because the paid custodian, you often see the sin b'Shemechinim, where it says the word of giving it by both of them, and just like it says over there that it has to be regarding Moed Miktis, so too by the Shomer Sachar. A shoyel, it says v'chi yishal. When it continues to the third parasha, it says, and when he's going to borrow, the vav is moisbel in Rishon. We know the vav is always like a chibur is connecting, so it's continuing, just like a Shomer Sachar. And regarding a seicher, renter, so that's either way. Ilaman damek Shomer Sachar, which is machlekes Rameir and Yehuda we brought in Daf Zion, that if you hold that a Shemechin is like a seicher is like a Shomer Sachar, and a Shomer Sachar. Ilaman damek Shemechin, and a Shemechin, it's the same thing. In other words, we have the source already. It's just a machlekes of a seicher is like a Shemechin or Shomer Sachar. Either way, we have by both of them this halacha. That's what we know. All four of these has to be this halacha of Moed B'miktzas to be chayiv for the Toin Tanis Ganav, or whatever the claim is that you're making as the Shomer. Now, another qualification, which we said, another distinction regarding Toin Tanis Ganav, Amar B'chi Bar Yosef, says a Toin Tanis Ganav b'Bekadon. If someone again is a Shomer, let's say Shemechinam, because that's the one that if you make a claim that it was stolen, you'd be exempt. Ein chayiv. He's not liable for kefil when it turns out that he really has it. Until he went and he misappropriated it. He touched this, he used this before he swore. For example, let's say he did some type of work with it, which he's not supposed to. My timer. What's the reason? Because the pasuk says like this. It says, that the owner is going to come to the judges. Now, this next word im is, we're going to see a machlokes, how to translate this word im. Im could mean that. He's going to come to the judges that lo yishalach yoda b'meleches re'eyu, that he didn't misappropriate what it was his friends. Mechlal sounds like the yishalach bayad, that if he did touch it, he used it, mechayev, he'd be liable. Remember, that's to tell us that that it says after this in the pasuk asher shin alikim, that the judges will hold him responsible, is the b'shalach bayad askinan. Is talking about where, because he did touch it, comes out that he was wicked in this, that he swore falsely, because he did touch it. So you see that the liability of this that you were incriminated, this asher shin alikim, is going on that you swore and that you didn't touch it, and turns out that you did touch it. But in other words, the claim that you made that it was stolen is only if you were guilty of also that you were shalach bayad. That is, according to Rabbi Yosef, a requirement for the liability of Toyin Tanis Ganav. Now, that's one opinion. But Amar Lahu Rabbi Bar Abba said to them, Hacha Amar B'yechan, it's not Rabbi Yechan that says like this. He says, Ba'imedes al avusa, when the animal is standing by the trough, meaning he didn't touch the animal, that's what Shanu, that's what we're learning, that the Shomer would be Chayiv Kefil. Now, the Gemara wonders how to translate this opinion of Rabbi Yechan that was just quoted. Amar Rabbi Bar Abba. Davka by Medes alavusa kamar. It's going to be important how to translate this. Did he say over from Yechanan that it's only if the animal was as it always was, standing by the trough? Avashalach bayad. But if let's say the shomer who is lying, he said it's stolen, but he really had the animal out there in the farm where he always had it. But are you telling me that if let's say he had went and used the animal from beforehand, before he swore, then actually he would acquire the animal. How would he acquire it? What's called B'teres Gezelui, as we learned very much in this parak. Now, a Shrei Mechinam does not become a Ganav only when he claims that it was stolen. And this guy, before he claimed it was stolen, he already acquired it. And it was already in his possession that if it dies, he would have to pay as an oinus, because he already stole it. Comes out, when he was denying it, he was denying his own thing, and therefore the oath that he would take would not be effective at all. So this side of the question was saying that no, Rabbi Yechim is saying specifically if it's a mendes alavusa, because if it was not a mendes alavusa, if he had used it, he actually would not be chay, meaning the opposite of what Rabbi Yechanan of Rabbi Bar Yosef had said. Rabbi Yosef said that the liability of the Toyin Tanis Ganav was only if you were shalach bayad. And he would say, no. It's oimendes alavusa, because if you went and you were shalach bayad, you would not be chayiv for your Toyin Tanis Ganav, because you already stole it beforehand already, and therefore there's no liability for what you're saying, what you're denying over here, because it's already yours. Maybe, no. He was saying that not only if it's standing on the trough, he's saying even. And that for sure if you were shalach bayad, because that's what the pasuk is talking about. Like Rabbi Yosef is talking about that you're swearing that you didn't touch it, but if you did, you'd be guilty. But if you didn't, then you'd also be guilty. You don't have to be like that. It's just that he's swearing that he didn't. But if he did, then he would also be chayiv. So which one is it? So it's a very technical question, but that's the Gemara wants to know: is it the same thing like Rabbi Bar Yosef, or it's saying it's disagreeing with him? So Amalei said to him, Zulei Shamat. He says, exactly what you're saying, this question I didn't hear, but I heard something similar, and from that we could answer the question. Because the Amr Rabbi Yechanan, who we're discussing in Rabbi Yechanan's opinion, is that Hatoyin Tainis Avad. There's a lot of technical cases over here. That if, let's say, someone claims it was lost, the Shema says, it was lost. Look, we went for a walk and, your dog got lost. Benishban, he swears to that effect. Then, and the Shemachin is pater on things that get lost. But then, he subsequently goes and makes a claim that it was stolen, which Taisa discusses regarding why we say this way and not the other way, and also different Taisa discuss regarding, like we asked yesterday, what's he swearing about again if he already swore once before. But be that as it may, he goes and he makes another claim that it was stolen. And then Benishbei swears to that effect. Ubo Eidim, and witnesses come, so Pater, he's exempt from kefil. Now usually what happens is when you deny, and then judges come, and then witnesses come, you can be chayiv kefil for the witnesses saying that you have the stolen goods, he can be Pater. My time, what's the reason? So it says, so this is what he was answering. Rabbi Abba was answering that Lav Mishum, isn't it because, he wants to infer from Yechanan's teaching the following principle. Isn't it because the Kana B'Shvu Rishayna? He swore 2 times. He swore it was lost, and then he swore that it was stolen. So isn't it because he already acquired it the first time he swore to the fact that it was lost, he was already chayiv in oinsin from that first false oath. Why? Like Rav Sheshes, which we had learned on the Kofheim at Beis, he said, if you deny a deposit that's by you, that denial, you're already a liar, and you're already stealing it, right? Because if it's someone's and you're saying, oh, it got lost, you're obviously stealing it at that point, even without an oath. Now, where you swear, for sure, everyone would agree you're swearing to that effect. Of course you're stealing it by swearing that you don't have it anymore. Oh, so obviously we see that once it's already in his possession, he already stole it. When he's denying, he's not denying your thing, he's denying his own thing. And therefore he's not going to be chayiv and kefil. That's what the halacha of Rabbi Yochanan was saying, but by tointainus of it, swearing, and then tointainus ganim, and swearing, and then Adim coming, and Adim are only chayiv you on when you are stealing, when you're tointainus ganim, but it already was yours from when you claimed that it was lost. So you can't be chayiv kefil, because the kefil is only on tointainus ganim, right? We're talking about a shleimer over here. Shleimer is not chayiv for making a claim that it was lost, only when he makes a claim that it was stolen. So the same thing is regarding shalech bayad, by misappropriating, by using the object, which is obvious to us, as the Gemara says in Bava Kama Daf Aleph, that the moment you misappropriate something, it's already like in your possession. You stole it already, right? You're liable for einsin. So therefore, you can't be chayiv any more kefil. Once you were shalech bayad, and this is Rabbi Yochanan's teaching. So when Rabbi Yochanan said this teaching of oimedis alavusa, what did he mean? We wanted to know, did he mean only oimedis alavusa? But if you were shalech bayad, then you actually would be pater for your tayin ganim? Or did he say no, even? But for sure you'd be chayiv if you're shalech bayad, like Reb Chibar Yosef said, because the pasuk is saying this halacha of that im lo shalach yod b'melech is re'eyu, that then you're going to be chayiv. Which one? Oh, we just proved Rabbi Yochanan's other teaching that you're going to be pater if you're shalech bayad, because that's similar to this halacha of swearing and denying that you have this guy's pakadon, which you will first claim that it was lost. When you subsequently claim that it was stolen and witnesses come and incriminate you, that's too late. You already stole it. It's already yours, and that's what Rabbi Yochanan says over there. You're going to pater. So he's going to say the same thing over here, but shalech bayad, that you can be pater. That's what Reb Chibar Abba wanted to answer to Reb Zera. On that, Reb Zera says back to him, Loi, no, that's not a proof. There, in this halacha of tointainus oven and the chaz of tointainus ganav and ishba, it's not because when he first denied it, like Rav Sheshes halacha from 2 dafim ago, that it's already his, and since it's already his, so you can't he's not going to be liable for a denial which is already his. No, it's for a different reason. It's ha'el v'yatzat, since this shomer already fulfilled Yedei Bailam, his obligation to the owners, b'shvur rishayna, in the first oath, because from the first court, which that's already answering your question that you want to know how did he swear more than once, like Rashi says, from the first court, he already exempted himself. The second oath that he takes is not a shvuas hadayanim. It's not an oath of the judges to obligate him in kefil, because since he already swore once before, he wasn't obligated in an oath anymore. There's no halachic shvuah over here that's being obligated by the judges. You could swear another time, but that's like kavetz v'nishba like we had on the previous stuff. That doesn't have the force of a shvuas hadayanim. That's why you can be pater. But it doesn't prove anything regarding the question of Rabbi Yochanan's other teaching of a medaz alavu. So we still didn't answer regarding what would the halacha be according to Rabbi Yochanan. Is it stavka medaz alavusa, as we just wanted to prove, or like we just rejected and said no, it could even be even a medaz alavusa. But yes, if you were also shalach bayad, then you might also be chayev for your toy and tainis ganav that you're making about this object that you were watching. So too we learned this same teaching of Rabbi Yochanan that we just quoted. If someone claims that this watch that you asked me to watch over the weekend, that it got lost, and he swears to that effect. And then he went, and again, in some other court, let's say, he goes and he claims that it was stolen, and he swears to that effect. And witnesses come, Pater is going to be exempt. Why? So it's like we rejected, not like we thought we were going to bring a raya. Because he already fulfilled his obligation of his oath with the first oath, and therefore the second oath is not a shvus hadayanim, and therefore we didn't prove again to answer the question, Rabbi Yechanan, does he agree with Rabbi Bar Yosef, or does he disagree? Now, this was all based on the opinion of Rabbi Bar Yosef. Now the Gemara brings Rav Sheshes a different opinion that says the exact opposite of Rabbi Bar Yosef. We had in Rabbi Yechanan, we weren't sure, did Rabbi Yechanan disagree, was he just adding on? Now we have Rav Sheshes. And if someone makes a claim by an item that he was watching, that it was stolen, since he went and utilized the object before he swore, Pater, it's going to be exempt. Rabbi Bar Yosef's words were, you're not chayiv until you shalech bayad. He says the exact opposite. If you shalech bayad, you're going to be Pater. Right? What's the reason? This is what the Torah is telling you. And he reads the word im differently. It says in the pasuk when they give balabais alikim that the owner comes to the judges, if leishalach yadei v'goymer, if he didn't touch it, then they go and he makes an oath and whatever and so on and so forth. Which the Gemara Namafkid over there tells us this v'nikrev is referring to taking an oath. And then it says after that, Yisham Shnaim, he's going to have to pay double if he's found out to be guilty that he really has it by him, and not like he's claiming that it was stolen from him. Now the inference is hashalach yadai. So this whole incrimination and liability of kefil, of claiming that it was stolen, is only if he didn't touch it. Hashalach yadai, if he did touch it beforehand. Pater is going to be exempt from this whole halacha, and therefore he says the exact opposite of Bar Yosef, which essentially is machlekes how to translate the word im. If it's that, or if it's if. If it's like it's only with this, or it's only if not with this. Now, Amli Rab Nachman. Rab Nachman, however, wonders on this opinion. He says, how could you say this? I say there are three oaths that we make the Shemach take who claims that it was stolen from him. What are the oaths? It's Shvua Shalei Peshati Boy. He has to swear that I was not negligent regarding the safeguarding of it when it was stolen, because if it was negligent, he would be chayiv, like it says in the Torah, I'll call the Pasha of all negligence. Number two, Shvua Shalei Shlachta Bayad. He swears that I didn't touch it, I didn't use it to have benefit from it beforehand, because if he was Shalech Bayad, then it's already in his possession, and he's like a gazan on it, and he actually would be chayiv not only on Peshia, like a Shemachim, he'd be chayiv even on Einzin, for sure, on Genei Baveda, which is what he's claiming was that it was stolen. He would be liable for that. And number three, Shvu Shein B'Shus, he has to swear that it's not in my possession. So the Gemara wants to make a diuk. My lab, isn't it, when you say Shvu Shalei Shalachta Bayad, which is one of the three oaths that I didn't touch it, I didn't use it for my own personal benefit, must be Dumi de Shvu Shein B'Shusi, similar to one of the other three oaths, which is that it's not in my possession, which is Ma Shvu Shein B'Shusi, just like the oath of that it's not, I don't have it anymore. Ki Megalia Milsadis B'Shusi, when it is revealed, which is really the case, he was lying, when it's revealed that it really is in his possession and he stole it, Chayiv is going to be Chayiv for Kefil, which, because that's the Allah of Turn Tan's Ganev. Oh, so then Av Shvu Shalei Shlachta Bayad. Then also must be the oath of that I didn't touch it, Ki Megalia Milsadis Shalach Bayad, when it's revealed that he really did utilize it. When it turns out that he was a liar and he was Shalach Bayad, then they're also Chayiv. He should also be Chayiv Kefil because of his oath that it's not in his possession. So that seems to be like the teaching of Rabbi Bar Yosef, not like Rabbi Sheshes, who says that when you were Shalech Bayad, then you're not going to be Chayiv, which Amalei says, no. Shvu Shalech Bayad, don't compare to that other oath, compare to the third oath. Similar to the oath of I was not negligent regarding it. Just like the oath of I was not negligent. Ki Megalia Milsa the Pasha, but when it's revealed that he was negligent and that it was stolen from him. Pater Mikefil, so then he's going to be exempt from Kefil because he's actually not stealing it, because he's actually liable for it. Av Shvu Shalei Shlachta Bayad, so to the oath that I didn't touch it, Ki Megalia Milsa the Shalach Bayad, when it is revealed that he did touch it, Pater Mikefil, he would be exempt from Kefil even if it is still by him. So again, it just depends which oath you're comparing it to say what the halach would be, and therefore it's not difficult. Rav Sheshes, thank you to any time for hosting us.